So I attached this coil face about 3 hours ago, I'd say. I secured everything and I've gone over it once with just a paintbrush saturated in chunky slip. And I've done that with all my attachments multiple times. And I just keep kind of passing over everything with a little bit of water, trying to keep it moist until I get every little fingerprint, nail mark, tool mark smoothed out. I've added my chalk to both these guys. And I want to show you, I think, what would be helpful. I need to clean my board a little bit. I don't want to get any crusty clay here. So if you're struggling to get the handle or any attachment on, I'm going to get just a piece of fresh plastic clay here. I'm going to take this mug as an example to show you. So I've attached a mini coil here and here. So say we're talking about a handle attachment to start. I had a little crack here this morning and I went over it with a second mini coil, and I can even do another one just to be sure. So how thick does the coil need to be? Well, not very thick at all, about the size of an earthworm or skinnier. And we're going to use the wooden knife to wedge it into the crevice and secure the attachment. So I take my slip and I roll a little worm all around, and it's completely covered in slip. And then I dry my hands on the nearby towel, and I take that coil and I put it around, and this is what you were asking about yesterday, Moses. I put it right around here. And if I need to, I can wrap it fully around, but I feel like the inside there is pretty well joined. So I'm going to give it a little haircut right here and here with my loop tool and take those extra pieces off. Then I am going to grab my wooden knife, and this is extra helpful in this hard to reach area, but I've already done that area. So I'm going to take the wooden knife and I'm scraping it gently in both directions, as well as kind of pushing it into the form to secure the attachment. I'm trying to just redistribute that clay evenly, even though it's just a little bit of clay. And then grabbing a lightly wrung out sponge and passing over it, also compressing. At this point, my clay is definitely leather hard, so it's a lot easier to push onto the form without indenting. If the clay is really soft, I would let it dry out, right, and get firm. Handle too, so that your handle and your form or your attachments in your form are the same moisture content. If you're attaching freshly rolled out thin slabs, that's okay because they're quite thin. Now, say I wanted to modify a little bit more. Say I had like too much clay and I wasn't able to smooth out as evenly as I did. I can scrape some away. And I know that I'm really meticulous in the way that I show you guys things, but that's part of the craft. That's part of learning the skill, is being patient. And if somebody comes to your house to paint your house, they're not going to miss a spot. They're going to tape everything off and do a really clean job. So as a crafts lady, not a craftsman, I'm a crafts lady, I want to show you the right way to do everything and without missing anything. And then I'm going to get in there with my finger, kind of pull the clay down. And I'm seeing it be a little inconsistent here too. So I'm going to kind of modify that by scraping clay away where I need to. So that guy is on there. That handle is securely fastened because of those mini coils that I added to both the top and bottom. It's really particularly tricky to get in here. And I find that that's where most handles crack, is on the bottom, not the top, because we tend to pay more attention to areas we can get to and less attention to hard to reach areas. But I want you to get into the habit of making them both equally as important to smooth and refine. All right, so that's securing a handle with mini coil. Now I need to rinse my hands. Yesterday I made this flower with you guys, and I've gone over it 3 times now with my slip and also scraping clay away where I felt like I needed to, and then passing it with the sponge. Notice the coils, or the slabs, excuse me, are really thin. And that's good because I don't want to add a lot of bulk. I also went in with my loop tool, the angled side, and I started removing clay. See a slight crack right there, and I'm going to fix that right now. I know it's hard to see on the camera. There is a slight crack. So what I've been doing for slight cracks or areas that need to be more securely joined is I put slip on a paintbrush. If you don't have a paintbrush, maybe you can retire a makeup brush from your supply kit if you're a lady and you have makeup, or maybe if you're a guy, you can ask one of the ladies in the house if they could donate a makeup brush to your toolkit. And so what I do is I paint the slip, chunky stuff, right into that area, using it as a glue, of which its purpose is. And then I let it hang out for a good 30 seconds because I want it to seep into that seam. And I'm seeing that I need to do that also here. And when I'm retrieving slip from my bucket, I want it to be not the watery stuff, but that good chunky stuff. That's going to fill the crack, just like a caulking gun would if you were trying to seal in a tub. I'm just giving it a final inspection because today is Make Fixes Day. All right, so I'm letting it hang out and do its magic. And then I'm going to take my lightly damp sponge and I'm going to redistribute the extra and try to find closure in my seams, unifying both pieces and trying to get that nicely blended look. And I'll revisit it one more time tomorrow. And this one needs a chop, so I might as well knock out the chop while I'm at it. Ensuring my bottom is free of burrs and boogers, like a nice clean canvas, before I apply that chop. And I got this stamp at Phoenix and I'm just loving it. It's kind of my new signature. And so I'm wiggling the stamp front to back, side to side before I lift it to ensure that I've gotten it deeply engraved. Maybe a little too deep on that O there. And kind of cleaning it up. Okay, now I'm going to go a little closer. And I showed this yesterday, but I'm going to show you again. This project is getting past leather hard. I can just feel it. It's really stiff. So I'm going to try doing the top now so I avoid a lot of residuals later. And by residuals, I mean clay being too dry and hard to penetrate. All right, so I've done my first pass of that signature. And with a dry brush, I'm going to scrape away the scraps there. And then going back over it a second time with the pen to deepen the chop. And that way when I glaze it and wipe away the glaze can hang out in the chop, making it part of the artwork. Oh, the rain's coming down again. Gnarly. I don't know if it's raining in Castroville, but here in Santa Cruz, it just started dumping. And that's the third pass. And now smoothing with the sponge. Now, back in the day when I was in elementary, they taught us how to do cursive writing, and I've always written my name in cursive, my first name, since I was a kid. I don't even know if they teach penmanship anymore. All right, so overall, this one's done. I could put a centerpiece in my sunflower, but I'm kind of liking the contrast of the raised petals. And so I'm thinking that I may be done here. Seeing one more area that needs a little more slip. Wowee, that's wild. Well, good thing because my plants I just planted are gonna spring right up. All right, so anything that you attach requires additional attention. So in this case, I'm gonna paint these coils one more time with chunky slip, just ensuring that they're not gonna crack later. The cracks will reveal themselves overnight if your attachments aren't securely joined. The next time you revisit the project, you'll be like, oh shoot, that's not sticking, which means little cracks turn into big cracks. So you wanna go over it multiple times with the slip, and it's ideal to use a paintbrush if you can find one. And a flat paintbrush is really nice versus a rounded paintbrush because you can get in there a little bit better. And if we're talking about retiring a makeup brush, like an eyeshadow brush would be great, ladies.